Hey everybody, it's Cooper here. Welcome back to another answer video. So we're just going to jump right into it. Our first question comes from Pokemon Lover 921, and they ask, what countries have you visited? And unfortunately, I was born in the United States, and I have never been out of the United States. So I guess I will take the question of which countries have you visited, and instead will answer which states have I visited, since I haven't left the USA. So, I was born in Washington. Actually, I was born in Portland, Oregon, but I've lived in Washington. I have obviously been to Oregon. I've been to Montana. I've been to California and lived there. And I've been to Florida and lived there. And aside from having layovers in other states, I don't really count those as having visited those states. So I've been to Washington, Oregon, California, Montana, and Florida. Our next question comes from Zach Taylor Games, and they ask, what is your take on the presidential candidates? And I kind of answered this in the very first answer video, but I figured I would just answer it again here as well. And basically, there are things that I like and do not like about each candidate. If I'm choosing not to vote, but if I were to vote, I would probably vote for Bernie Sanders. But like I said, I think there's good and bad things about each candidate, and I don't really have much to say. The next question comes from MrWolf99, and they ask, hey Cooper, happy to send in more questions. Is your current living space big enough to house what would have been your old complete collection? If not, how are you going to make the space? And it's kind of a hard question to answer because I don't still have that collection. And I do think that it physically would be big enough to fit it in here. The only problem with the living room here, which is where I have my collection now, is that there are 3 doors and 2 big windows, like taking up space on the walls. This big shelf back here is actually covering one of the windows, and that's not something that is ideal to do, use a shelf to cover a window, but so this one is already covered. We're not really planning on covering the other window, which is opposite. It's behind the camera back there. We're not really planning on covering that. There is a door to my right, so it's on this side. There's a door right there. My girlfriend and I have kind of discussed if we need to, we can cover that with another shelf because that door leads to an unused bedroom. We call it the cat room because that's where the cat box is. That's where we keep the dog food and the cat food, and there's a this box in there. And that's pretty much all it's used for. And there's another door to that room on the other side. There's this door to get in there, and then there's a bathroom which has a door that leads into there as well. So we've kind of discussed possibly covering that with another shelf, which wouldn't be too big of an issue. Right here, I can touch it right here. If I move the camera, you'd be able to see it. The front door to the house is right here. And then right there, only 3 or 4 feet from this front door, is another door to another bedroom. And that's kind of like, I showed it in the room tour, that's kind of like a storage room. My electronic drum set is set up in there, and it's just kind of being used for storage right now. Eventually, once we get a little more set up with shelving and everything, it's going to be cleaned out. It's going to be kind of my girlfriend's collection area. She's got a lot of Harry Potter stuff. So we kind of call that the Harry Potter room. But the way that this is set up, I have the living room here, and then I have the dining room, so it's kind of like an L shape, almost. And since doing the room tour video, we've actually moved the couch and the TV into the dining room area, and this living room here is one big rectangle, and it's a lot more clean, a lot more space, because there's no couch in the way, so it's a big open area now. And so the problem isn't really space, but the problem is wall space. And I just don't know. We're already kind of having issues with running out of room, and the collection is nowhere near what it was before. But we're looking into getting some more shelves today, actually. Instead of building another unit like this, which was my plan, I'm going to be going to Big Lots and getting 5 of these bookshelves that are 72 inches tall each, and they're 25 inches wide each. And I have a spot behind the camera here, which you can't see right now, where they're going to go. And that'll give us a lot more space for what we currently have, but we're always going to have to be expanding, so I don't know, eventually maybe this door over here will be covered by a shelf. Not really sure, but I mean, we're figuring it out as we go. And we have another basically unused bedroom, so if it absolutely comes to that, I can have the collection be in 2 separate rooms, which is not ideal, but they are connected by a doorway, so it's not that big of a deal, but I guess we'll cross that road when we come to it. Our next question comes from Cliff Boyd, and they ask, since you don't just collect to play, what is your motivation? Do you enjoy the process, or is there something more? And I actually made a video entirely about this, kind of, and I think it was called, Does Your Partner Support Gaming / Collecting, where I talked about how my girlfriend Abby, playing games from the collection gives me more of a purpose to collect. And I basically answered the question in that video, but there's a lot more to it. Obviously, I do play some games, but I don't collect strictly to play. I do enjoy the process. I do enjoy going out and finding stuff and finding good deals, and I enjoy putting it on the shelves and displaying it, alphabetizing games and all that. It's a lot of fun. It's fun. It's cool that there's more to collecting than just playing the games. It's cool to me that I can enjoy the process of finding the games and the process of, categorizing the games and putting them into my spreadsheet and making YouTube videos about them and all that kind of stuff. So if you guys are interested in that video, you can find it on my channel. It was uploaded not too long ago. Our next question comes from Lisa S. Tall Gamer, and they ask, if you had to choose one game system to play for the rest of your life, what would that be? And I think a lot of you guys will probably think that I would pick the Nintendo 64, and while the Nintendo 64 is my favorite system, I would actually choose the GameCube. And I have a couple reasons. There's not really much left for me to discover about the N64. I know, I never see a game and say, whoa, I've never heard of that game before. I owned every game. I know so much about the system and about the games and everything that there's nothing new for me to discover as far as playing it goes. I mean, obviously I haven't played every game, but I have played most of the ones that you would expect to go back and play again. And if you're choosing a system to play for the rest of your life, for me, the N64 doesn't offer enough. And so I would choose the GameCube because not only are there a bunch of great games, there's all the Mario parties, there's Luigi's Mansion, Mario Sunshine, Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, the Pokemon games and all that. So there's tons of stuff like that to play, but then there's tons of other games that I haven't had a chance to play or that I just haven't played yet. And I feel like if I had to choose one system to play for the rest of my life, I might as well choose something that I'm not super familiar with so that I still have lots of stuff to discover and lots of new stuff to play. And honestly, the GameCube library is way bigger than the N64 library, so there's still a bunch of crappy games, but there are a lot of great games and a lot of ones I still haven't played, so GameCube would be my choice. Our next question comes from Biznez17, and he asks, do you feel like you got a fair price when you sold off your collection, and are you comfortable giving the approximate amount you got for it? And he asked this one a while ago, and then after my first answer video where I kind of discussed the process of when I sold it, he commented and said that that video kind of answered this question, but I figured I'd throw this one in here anyway. And he asked if I think I got a fair price when I sold it, and honestly, it depends on what you consider fair. And obviously, I took a price that I was comfortable taking under the circumstance that I was in, whereas if I were to sell that same collection but not be in a time constraint, I would not have taken anywhere close to what I sold it for. So, was it a fair price? Under the circumstances, I guess it was, but I honestly think that it was about a third, maybe a little bit more than a third of what it was worth. And that's going through and actually looking at most individual games, and because I did price everything out, and there were so many figures and display items and promotional pieces and stuff like that that like you can't find, so I don't know what to price stuff like that at. But just the games and systems that I priced out, and I only did averaging on a few things, and it was mostly like Game Boy Advance and Wii games that I averaged, like all of the NES, Super Nintendo 64, GameCube, all that kind of stuff. I actually individually priced it all out using eBay, sold listings and all that. And, you know, without all the promotional pieces and stuff like that, it came to about 3 times what I actually took for the collection. But like I said, it was under a constraint, so there was really not much I could do about it. And he asks if I would feel comfortable giving an approximate value or an approximate amount of what I got. And honestly, I don't really want to say it because I feel like it's just not something that you should really talk about. But if you guys are super interested, if you want to find the Nintendo Age thread that Cash for Games Canada made when he was, you know, slandering me and all that kind of stuff, he did state in the first post, I believe, how much we had agreed upon, and obviously I didn't sell it to him, but that's basically what I sold it for. So if you're super interested, you can find that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for that one. And our last question comes from Robin3 or Robin 3rd, I'm not sure. But they ask, collecting video games can cost a lot, even considering the fact that you find some games for dirt cheap. My question is, do you get paid enough to fuel your hobby, or do you find other ways to make money? And with what I do for my job and the way that I make money, I guess the last part of the question, when they say, do you find other ways to make money, finding other ways to make money is basically how I make money. I don't have a traditional job. I don't go and work for someone 40 hours a week and then get a paycheck. You know, I'm self-employed. I work for myself. I run my eBay and Amazon businesses. And so I definitely make enough to fuel my collection. But at the same time, getting video games is part of my job sometimes, which I guess kind of sounds weird. And I'm sure that anyone watching knows that I sell on eBay and Amazon full time. So I'm going out to thrift stores and pawn shops and garage sales and stuff like that all the time anyway. And video games is a portion of the stuff that I do sell. So going out and looking for video games is a part of my job in that aspect. And whenever I come across something that I don't have, whether I would buy it to sell or not, if I don't have it, it's something that I keep. So I'm going out to Goodwill and stuff looking for electronics and books and CDs and whatever I'm going to sell. I'm always looking for video games anyway, so it's kind of a part of that. So I guess the answer is I do look for other ways to make money. So I guess that's answering part of your question. But the main part, my work I do make enough from what I do for my job to fuel my collection financially. And then it also helps in other ways, like I mentioned. So thank you guys so much for asking questions. If you have any more, please follow the link in the top of the description to my question video. Post all your questions in the comment section there. And I'll see you guys in the next answer video in 1 week. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.